It's time for the Billy Flynn Experience.
Thank you so much for joining me once again to the Billy Flynn Experience. I am your host, Billy Flynn. We are coming live from Germany, of course. Start off the week. Hope everyone had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. For those that celebrate Halloween, hope all was safe. Because we all know how crazy people can get, especially around this time with, with controversy behind costumes that people like to wear. I don't know. It seems as though people like to get under other individuals' skin when it comes to these costumes. But we have breaking news tonight. The reason I say tonight because here in Germany, it is, what time is it? I don't know. Maybe 7 p.m. Yeah, a little after 7 in the afternoon. But as I said, breaking news. Kind of sad news, actually. Gentleman goes by the name of Takeoff. His government real name is, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, but I will try. Kirshnik Kari Ball. Again, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that name wrong, or I'm not pronouncing it right. But he goes by the stage name of Takeoff. 28 years old. The third member of the Atlanta-based hip-hop group called the MIGOS. MIGOS. And the story goes as he was in Houston, Texas, with his uncle, Cuervo. And to back it up a bit, MIGOS have three different, for those who's never heard of the MIGOS, the hip-hop group. But there's three members, Cuervo, Offset, and Takeoff. They're all related. And Cuervo and Takeoff is uncle, nephew, and Offset is the cousin. And I think they're saying he's the cousin of Takeoff. But anyways, the two was in Houston, and the story is rather sketchy still because it's still unfolding based on what has already been released through some of the mainstream news outlets. But you can never really count on them to get anything right. But how the story goes is that Cuervo and Takeoff was in Texas, in Houston, over the weekend, celebrating the holiday. They were at a bowling alley. The bowling alley is called 810 Billiard Bowling in Houston. And how the story was is that it was a dice game amongst these individuals. It got heated. Cuervo and the other gentlemen that were playing dice, from what it is being said, is that they got into an argument. Guns were drawn, guns fired. Takeoff gets hit accidentally. He had nothing to do with anything. He was just wrong place at the wrong time. Struck him in the head, and he died. Now the thing is that, no, first of all, I gotta say I developed a liking to their music. Of course, I'm an old head. I like, older or more classic hip hop rap acts. Well, one thing about the Migos is that they were original. And I guess that all has a lot to do with the fact that I lived in Atlanta, Georgia before I moved to Germany. I was in Atlanta for about maybe 12 years, between 12 and 15 years. So I had grown accustomed to the music scene in Atlanta, Georgia, which is something that I grew up. I went to college. I listened to a lot of the acts through college and then after college and getting into my career. So I would say that I kind of grew up on the hip hop scene in Atlanta, Georgia. I have a lot of respect for, like I said, some of the older acts, the more classic vintage acts, as they call it, OGs in the game. But I grew up on, or I was kind of like listening to that throughout college and after college. So yes, the Migos, I grew very fond of their style of their music and their rap cadence, their lyricism and their cadence of their style of rapping. And of course, the music, the production was always good. So to me, it's like, if the production is good, to me, that's half the battle. But the production was good, and their style and how they knew how to, their flow in the rap game was really, really nice. So yes, I was a supporter of their music, their art. They weren't very controversial. I mean, for the most part, when you compare other hip hop acts, there's a lot of, gang violence or drugs or guns. And for the most part, the Migos as a group kind of was like they were chilled. They had their drama on different, social media platforms, whatever. But in particularly, I have to be honest, that Takeoff was, to me, he was the most, laid back, quiet, very introspective. I would even say he was an introvert. But you hardly ever heard anything from him other than the allegations that took place back in, when was that? Oh, it was back in 2021. It was an allegation of Takeoff being involved in, as it was saying at the time, he was involved in an allegation of misconduct with a woman. I'm not going to say the R word, since everything is being monitored in an algorithm. I'm not even going to say the R word, but his misbehavement with a young lady. She brought up charges against him, but they were later dismissed. So he was in the clear. And that was probably the only thing that you pretty much heard from Takeoff, or heard of Takeoff being involved in something that is newsworthy. Other than that, he was pretty much, like I said, very laid back, very chilled young man. But again, it seems like always the good ones. Not saying that the other two of the group are not good, but I'm just basically saying that for someone of his caliber, his style, his ambiance, his flow, his swagger, someone on that level, seemingly, because I'm not around the group, I'm not into their lifestyle of being rap artists. Because again, I'm an OG, they're younger, so I don't really follow the news behind them. But from one of the things that I read about them throughout the years is that they're relatively on the level of just being very creative, being very inventive with their style of rapping in the music industry. And of course, they were innovators of that style, which had many other rap acts wanted to follow. So, as a group, again, I still do have respect for them. I like their music. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of it I do like, and a lot of it I do listen to. And I guess that's what made me want to bring this content to the forefront, because of the fact that I'm an OG. I'm much older. But I find it heartbreaking based on the fact that there is seemingly a lot of gun violence taking place amongst the younger generation, and particularly the younger generation in this genre called hip hop. And it's becoming more and more dangerous, and it's been way out of hand. But it's getting worse. And it's taking the lives of the ones that are not really in, quote unquote, not that deep in that lifestyle, or the pretend of that lifestyle of being a gangster, of being street. Again, to me, Takeoff was a very, very laid back cat. And, I was reading also on a little bit about the story, and it was talking about his lawyer. And it says, other than the fact that he's devastated of the loss and how important Takeoff and the MIGOS were or is to the Atlanta, Georgia community or hip hop community. But his lawyer continued to say, let me see where it says this at. Okay, his lawyer goes by the name of Drew Findling. Again, he says the rap death was a devastating loss in Atlanta. And it says, quote, a sense of peacefulness about his aura. The world was starting to learn more about Takeoff. It was his time to shine. And I have to say that's a very, very good analogy, because again, Takeoff seeming to be the most laid back, the most introspective out of the other two in the MIGOS. And it's just a shame that this young man had to lose his life innocently. But again, the story is still unfolding, so we all don't know exactly. We'll never know exactly what caused it, or the behind the scenes of what actually transpired to this level of violence. But I would say that as the days unfold, more and more news will come out about his untimely death. Again, Takeoff. He was only 28 years old. His birthday he just had a birthday, June 18th of this year. So he just turned 28. Wow. Well, again, as I said, as the days go on, as the days continue, I guess we will find more news will come out about this event. Once again, Takeoff of the MIGOS died in Houston, Texas, over a dice game. But again, as a story, as the first level of the news broke, he was kind of like a bystander, so it was an accidental death. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But most importantly, over senseless gun violence. So, thank you once again for joining us here at the Billy Flynn Experience. I am Billy Flynn. Thank you so much for listening, and I will look forward to being with you again soon with more news. If you like, please hit the like and subscribe button so you can always be in the loop when I am on air. Once again, thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Be safe. God bless.